12 o'clock. So, 12:40
Okay.
about.
Very good. 12 a.m.?
Before then saying slichas at 12:50.
Okay. Okay. So the ikar tachlis of this year, the ikar point we want to get to, is to figure out a certain oimik in this shofar barn. What it's all about. Okay, but I want to start with this. Start with why we read Hashem Pakad. Why is the Kriya for Rosh HaShanah parasha that has no overt connection to Rosh HaShanah, rather about the birth of Yitzchak? Everyone knows all the reasons, I know, but I think there's still a question. We should read something that's about Rosh HaShanah. Yeah. So the mice is like this. There's a story about Cries Torah on Rosh HaShanah. The story is in Sefer Nehemiah. This is the description of Cries Torah in Tanakh. The 7th month comes, and they told Ezra Sefer to bring the Sefer Torah Moshe and to read it on the first day of Chodesh HaShvi. He's reading for the Sefer Torah, and there's a whole description of the reading, and it's halachas we learn from here. And the pasuk says like this. The pasuk says, it's also the famous pasuk, that they told the people, Hayom Kadoshu L'Hashem Elokeichem, Al Tis'ablu V'al Tivku, Ki Voichem Kol Ha'am Kishamim is the Torah. Everyone was crying when they heard the Torah. Okay, and he tells them, don't cry. L'chu ichlu mashmanim, v'shsunam sakim, ki kodashim, alti otzeru, don't be sad, ki chedas Hashem himo'ozchem. Your strength is the chedas Hashem. Fine. And v'alaviyim machshem l'chol amlei marhasu, ki ayom kodash alti etzeru. It was a major bechira, and the Leviyim were doing their job of making sure that everyone keeps Yom Tov. Hasu alti etzeru. Vayelchu kol ha'am, lecha v'lishtas v'shalach mon v'lasei simcha gedoyla, ki hevinu badvarim asher hodiu lahem. They got it, and they went to be oichel b'shois v'shalach monis v'lasei simcha gedoyla. So he read from the Torah, and they were crying. Okay. Now, what were they crying about? So the next day they come together, okay, and they say, okay, we have to build sukkahs. So they make sukkahs. On the 24th of Tishrei, after Yom Tov is over, Nesru b'nei Yisrael b'tzoimu b'sakim v'adam aleim. Okay, now they're ready to take care of their averis. Now Yom Tov is over, and it's interesting how Yom Kippur passed in the middle there and didn't do anything. Okay, I'm not getting into that. Nesru b'nei Yisrael b'tzoimu b'sakim v'adam aleim. And what they do, v'yibadu zera Yisrael b'kol b'nei nechar v'yamdu v'yisvadu al chatoiseim v'avunis aviseim. It was intermarriage. They had married Goyish women. Pasuk says later, this is the terrible Avera. This was the terrible Avera that they intermarried, and they had to deal with that. They had to deal with the problem of intermarriage. And they dealt with it on the 24th. They were Mizvada Avodesehem, and Vayibodlu Mikol B'nei Nechar. That was the Chet. Okay? So now, first 2 points. First of all, you read Ezra. He read from the Sefer Torah, they were crying, and they had Averis, and the Avera was intermarriage. That's point number 1. So he read something that teaches something about intermarriage. Point number 2 is whatever we read on Rosh HaShanah, what Ezra read on Rosh HaShanah, Ezra's was Torah, whatever he read, that's the Kriya for Rosh HaShanah. So what did Ezra read? Ezra read Hashem Pakad. Why did he read Hashem Pakad? Because in Hashem Pakad it's a state, Gorish es ha'om hazois, ve'es b'no, ki lo yirash ben ha'om hazois in b'ni Yitzchak. And if there's any pasuk in the Torah that says that it matters who the mother is as much as it matters who the father is, because the fact that it matters who your father is, everyone knows that. Avram is chosen. Avram is chosen. But Avram is chosen. Sarah is not chosen. It doesn't say Avram Sarah lech lecha. Avram Sarah Ishtai. Okay, Sarah is also miucheses. But does that even matter? Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter at all. Because if Avram is the one who decides who has the Dvar Hashem, so anyways, his wife is going to just be machniyat and ishtaltzu to him. And it doesn't matter who the wife is. Because if the husband calls the shots, and Avram is the one who calls the shots of the Dvar Hashem, he's away on mission. So maybe it doesn't matter who he marries. There's a real good havamina. The husband's the Baal, he's the Kaveh, and the wife doesn't matter. Kamash Malah, no. Kalashtem Alecha Sar Shma B'Koilo. Chase away Hagar, which means see the fact that he's telling it within the same tziburi. Today he says Chesui Hagar. He also tells him Kol Hashem Elech Asar Shema B'Koila, which Chazal say means Sarah is greater than Avram ben Avias. In that she says to send away Hagar, but it means the very fact that Hagar is not the one and Sarah is the one means that Sarah also has a role. The Neviah, the Isha Neviah, also has a role to play in Avodas Hashem, and Mela Sarah is in and Hagar is out. And this is the section of the Torah that Ezra chooses to teach the people that don't think that I'm a miyuchis, I'm a yid, what does it matter who my wife is, anyway she's going to listen to me, no, you have to have a Yiddish wife. Okay? That's the Daiti Pashup Pshat. Why we read Hashem Pakar on Rosh HaShanah. Now we have to get into an Einik. So now the question is, okay, so why are we busy on Rosh HaShanah with intermarriage? Okay? So in Ezra's times, that was the Aveira. So mainly you have to read out intermarriage. Is this somehow Meshach Shaykh to the essence of what Rosh Hashanah is about? Okay? So now, I noticed a very interesting thing, which is that the two Cries HaTorahs of Rosh Hashanah and the two Haftorahs share a common theme, which gets to the essence of the mitzvah Hayom of Shofar, and that is the woman's cries. A woman's cries. As the Gemara says, famously, the Gemara says that Trua, the Targum of Trua is Yabava, and how do we know what Yabava means? Because it says that the mother of Sisera was Miyabev. To Yabev aims Sisera. Tosfos brings from the Aruch that people do 100 kailas because Sisera's mother cried 100 kailas. Okay, so the mother's cries is the source of the shofar. The first kriya of Hashem Pakad, we have Hagar. He says Kol she's crying that her son is going to die. Second kriya of that Kedah says the Pirkei of Elazar and other Midrashim that the Satan came and gave the news to Sarah that Yitzchak died, Yitzchak almost died in his place. Sarah let out 3 lechiyas connected 3 tekiyas and 3 abavas connected Shofar, Truas, I remember. And that's where tekiyas Shofar and Rosh HaShanah is zecher to the cries of Sarah. So Sarah, the cries of a mother for her child. And in the Haftarah, the first day, is Chana, Lama Tivki, and Tivki B'Lo Soichal, she cries that she doesn't have children. And the second Haftarah is Rachel Mavako, Boneh. Okay? So the theme of a mother crying is there in the Cries, and it's actually the source of what a shofar is Aim Sisra, mother's cries. So why is the source of a shofar? Why is the mother's cries so determinative for the mitzvah hayom? The other source about mother's cries and shofar is a Tanchum Tazviyah. Tanchum Tazviyah says that when a woman is karas leiled, she lets out 100 kolas, 100 cries. 99 of them are lemaves, and the 100th cry is l'chaim. So again, we see that 100 kolas, the musik of 100 kolas happen to be motherhood, cries of motherhood, and here it says also that it takes 100 to get to chaim. The first 99 cries still have the possibility of maves when the woman's giving birth, and then when she does 100, then the baby's born, and that leads to chaim. So the mother's cries, and there's the right kinds of mother's cries, one kind of mother's cries, the right cry. When you get to 100 kolas, that's when you get to chaim, which is of course what we're looking for in Rosh HaShanah. So I want to explain how the cry of the mother is the kaveh, for the chaim that we're seeking in Rosh HaShanah. Okay, that's the question. How is the cry of the mother the kaveh, and why is the shofar? How does the shofar do the same thing or represent that? So the Maaseh says, the question about whether a person is chay or maves, chay or meis, the question that's determined on Rosh HaShanah, be'etzem goes back to first Rosh HaShanah, first Aleph Tishrei, was an Adam ate from the Eitz Das, and instead of being able then to eat from the Eitz Chaim, instead it was Nigzar Misa. So the din on the Adam, is he a chay or is he a meis? Is a din that happened on the first Rosh Hashanah, happens again Happens again every Rosh HaShanah. And I just want to say, let's say one nekuda about that. Taisus in Rosh HaShanah says famously that the din is about chaya and mabah. Nechtomim l'chayim means chaya and mabah. Nechtomim misa means misa and mabah. And the obvious question is, why do you need a din every year for chaya and mabah? Why do you need a din every year for chaya and mabah? That's negates on a gay. And also, we come to Rosh HaShanah and we make a whole tumult face. We're not doing tshuva yet. I mean, there's a sesame tshuva, which is busy with malchus and shaykhs, and somehow that's going to make us be zeichet to chayim. If it's chayim mabah, the question is chayim mabah. Chayim mabah is a chayim about what I did last year. What is this business that you want to be zeichet, that you want to become a ben adam haba in one day? The pshat is like this. Life is full of things that are chai and things that are meis. The Gemara says, "Rishon b'meis b'chayim kurim meis and tzaddikim tzaddikim kurim chayim." It means there are things in this world that have kiyum. There are things that don't have kiyum. That's the mix. That's the strange mix. That's creation. There are things that are eternal, and there are things that participate in being eternal, but they themselves are not eternal. V'nusach, let's say v'nusach harambam. This is the nusach harambam Revuchim, more or less. There's chaymer and tzura. There's matter and form. Anything that any matter that takes on a certain form. For example, a body, a person. So he takes on the form of a person, but that particular person, that particular body that has this form, doesn't have kiyum. Doesn't have kiyum forever. Only has a temporary kiyum. But the form that it's participating in, the form is not a bar moves. The form of a person is a seichel. Seichel is loyal. Seichel is on that side. But the body that participates in the seichel, that has a connection to the seichel, is not nitzchi. So now every person faces a struggle, faces a dichotomy. Is he going to define himself by the material aspect of his being, which is temporary, or is he going to define himself with the sichlis, with his tzura, which is nitzchi? What that means is like this. What that means is, let's say, if you think of yourself as a body, it means if you think that's your real essence, so that's what you're focused on, that's what you're busy with. So then you're a taita, then you're a mace, You're a mace because you're being isik in those things that are mace. You're isik in things that don't have a kiyum. If you're going to transcend the body and focus on the things that are sichli, again, this is the Rambam. The Rambam goes with Chayim and Tzura, which I think is certainly a pach is an adequate placeholder. We'll get to exactly maybe what it is, maybe something deeper. But in the Rambam's nusach, there's Chayim and Tzura. Chayim is what's shaykh to all sorts of kalkulim. Everything that's wrong with us comes from the fact that we're material, that we're embodied. That means the fact that we have a Yitzhara, the fact that we are mortal, all comes with that's why hu malchamasu Yitzhara, and the substitute, I can go to that. So in Mela, the fact that we're embodied makes us be mortal, and if we use our body, that means if we define reality and define what's most real, what's most important, according to the parameters of matter, then we become mason, because we become stuck in these things that don't have a key. Clear enough? I'm not sure if that's clear enough.
It's theoretically we're defining ourselves by the thing that is mace, but that
Right.
doesn't.
Right.
Doesn't
No, so it
affect
means
what
we're
is.
what?
It doesn't affect what is. It affects our focus.
Affects our focus. So that means that's where our minds are. So that's how we're going to act.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we're going to act. We're going to do things based on the values of the guf. The values of the guf are values of misa, because the values of the guf are not kind.
Well, again, if we do things that aren't kayan, that have no kiyum,
Right.
whatever that means, again, eat lunch, right?
Yeah.
No kiyum to that.
No, there is a
You
kiyum
make
to
a
it.
bracha, there is.
No, there
Right?
is. Oh, so there's a
But-
kiyum
but
to
if
it
you-
if you do the Shem Shemayim, right? That's all.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
like if you do it, again without intention.
Yeah.
So then again.
Then you're amazed.
Do nothing.
What?
That's the point. You're not doing it.
Right, exactly. So let's take an example.
Nothing stays.
That's right. So let's take a partial example. A person eats lunch, but he eats lunch because he wants to be full. So what is he doing exactly? Why is being full of value?
What to do
One second.
with that person and a
Right,
cat that doesn't eat cat.
Right, but it goes much deeper than that. Right, exactly. But why is the person eating lunch? Because he wants to be full. But why is he being full of value? I look at being full is not a value. Teretz is he is seeing the whole world from a very, very narrow perspective. Where the dvar mesim, such as whether he's full or not, he's been making a mistake. He's treating those things as being absolute and true and chai. So he's confusing what's mace for what's chai. He's confusing what's kala for what's nitzchi. Because only true values are things that are real, things that last. Real means lasting. So something that doesn't last is not, it doesn't dictate value. I know the fact that you have a fleeting kiyum doesn't dictate value. Elamai, you're stuck in a guf, and from the guf's perspective, the guf's perspective is the here and now. The guf doesn't see the future, the guf doesn't see other people, all it sees is what it can feel and what it can taste, and that he takes as being reality. And male, if you're stuck in that, if you're icing in that, you are a taita, you're dead, because it means that's where your focus is, and that's your maisamar, that's what, you're not going to do anything that has a purpose of it. So the question...
What level of abstraction are we going to go to determine what's nitzvah?
What?
What level of abstraction are we going to go to determine what's nitzvah?
Not so far. We're going to stick within this world. Yeah, within this world. Assuming this world is the netzach. Okay, that's a different question. Let's say go like the Rambam. Let's go like I go with the Rambam for this purposes. That this world will last forever. Okay. So Mela, if you do things in this world that will have a lasting impact, then you chai. If you do things in this world that will have a fleeting impact, then you miss. This world will last forever. I don't even know. We can go like that. That's sufficient for these purposes. So Mela, like this. The question is a person a ben al mahaba or not. The sherish of the shaila is he a chai or is he a mace? Meaning the same din that happened to Adam Rishon, on Yom Rishon, is he chai or is he mace? Happens to a person every year. And the Rambam says like this. The Rambam says that Adam, and again, my personal opinion is that this is not the full story, but it's definitely an adequate placeholder, and the name will suffice. The Rambam says like this: there's Adam and Chava. Adam stands for tzura, form, and Chava stands for chomer, matter. You have that mother as being matter or material. The feminine stands for the aspect of material. Everything in the world has two aspects, matter and form, and those two aspects in a moshel are Zohar and Nekeva. Chomer and Tzura is Zohar and Nekeva and Zohar. And every single person, very important to understand, every person has within themselves Adam and Chava, because Adam and Chava means Tzura and Chomer, so every person has within themselves Tzura and Chomer. Everyone is that. Everyone is a body that that stands for a certain idea. That is a certain idea. Everyone has that. The Chet and Eitz Adas is as follows, like the Rambam. The Rambam in the Merguchim Chelik Beis Perek Vav. The Chet and Eitz Adas is like this. The fact that a person is material, because a person is material, that means in the Moshe, Chavo, because a person is material, he's going to have a conversation with the Nachash. What does that mean? According to Rambam, that means the Nachash means the imagination. Nachash stands for the imagination in the Moshe. Imagination, what the imagination does, the imagination makes you think, makes you imagine, not think. I don't know what to call it, thinking. But it makes you mistake things that are images, tangible, things that you can see and feel and touch, makes you mistake those for being what is real. Okay? So in other words, the realest things are abstractions, ideas, but the imagination, meaning the fact that you have pictures of things in your mind, makes you look at those pictures as being reality, the most real thing, instead of the idea, which is abstract and it's above the imagination, and that's what the Zohar stands for. So the Chomer, but because the Tzura, because the Seichel of the person is embodied in Chomer, therefore there's a possibility for the body to be affected by the imagination. Okay? Now, who speaks to the snakes, Dr. Rambam? Chava. Only the body speaks to imagination. The Seichel and the imagination don't talk to each other. However, the Seichel is embodied. Your Seichel is Gufa embodied. And since your body is affected by the imagination, so your Seichel, which is embodied, could become a Kolkol also. So Chava giving the fruit to Adam means that once the Chomer of a person is affected by his imagination, once So then again to translate that. One, the fact is that because you're a body, certain things speak to you because they're tangible, because they're sensible, and not because they're reasonable. Once that happens to you as a body, your reason becomes lokokal also, becomes nevobal, and you can't think straight. And you can't think straight, that's moves. Because the seichel is chayim, but the moment that the seichel is defined or dictated to by the chomer, then the person's a mace. Okay? So again, to say one more time, whether the seichel and the chomer is a full story or there's something deeper than this going on, it's a different question. We could stick with Ram for now. So it means the din on the Adam. So let's go back to Bereshit. The din on the Adam of Yom Rishon of Adam is Pashut. Where does the person put himself? The person himself. What is he? What does he identify himself? And what moves him? What motivates him? And what motivates him is going to determine what his future is, because that's what he's going to do. So is he a chai or is he a mace? Means is he focused and is he identifying himself by those things that are kavua, which are the idea that gives rise to his existence, or is he going to identify himself, be motivated, and define things by his material aspect, in which case he's a mace, he doesn't count. And that question, where is a person, Pasha, where is a person, where is he? Every year that's determined anew by the reality of where he is, by that reality. So the question of whether a person is a ben olam haba or not a ben olam haba, I submit to you, is not maybe, let's say, merely a question of schayva or nishlach hamisek. We'll worry about that later. The mitzvah of ben olam haba is an identity of the person that he is on the tzad of nitzchias, that he's on the tzad of chayim. That means he's sticking to those things in this world that are chai, and he's not shakua in those things that are mace. And that same din, that same kvias happens again every year, and that same kvias is determined by b'charta b'chaim. Meaning and once a year you can be kvias. It's not only the ma'asim you did in the last year brought you to where you are right now, but you can reset that bechira despite your ma'asim of last year. And then it's true we have to be saying the ma'asim to deal with that, and then of course that can make a lose bein in him and so on and so forth. But the point is that the kvias of your essence, are you a chai, are you a mace, is totally in the same way it was totally in bechira on the first Adam Rishon. How to exercise the bechira, not to eat when it's nas, yet eat when it's nas. So that same bechira is happening every year. The person has to figure out where is his core, where is his neshama, and he make himself to a chai. Okay.
So why do we do it every year? For ourselves.
For ourselves.
To reset ourselves.
For ourselves. Right. Exactly. Now, of course, other people say that literally whether the person is going to live or die depends on this, and that might also be true. But
why would you live or die in the physical world if your physical world is
no, because okay. So now one second. So now we have a very interesting thing. We have like many things. The word chayim is a shem shutef. It has two meanings, right? It has two meanings. Do the two meanings have any association with them? So it's likely that they do. This gets to a question of Kabbalah. In Kabbalah, we say that the lower meaning is a derivation of the higher meaning. But even if you don't say that, the point is that why does a person have what we call life? Because that gives him the possibility of getting to the true life. So if he's truly alive, B'sham b'chayim kuri mesim is an anomaly. B'sham b'chayim kuri mesim is saying they really should be dead. So sometimes they're not dead after became because whatever reason, because also it's a because maybe someone else is getting true chayim off the fact that they're alive, maybe because they might do tshuva. But be'etzem, a kuri mace, of course, supposed to be a literal mace because you're only literally what we call literally alive because you have a shaykhis to what's truly alive. Right?
This suggests that the only living things are humans.
What?
This suggests that only humans can be alive.
And not animals?
Yes.
Okay, listen. First of all, take this. Animals don't have ruach or neshama except for the mabel. Animals are very complicated. The whole business of animals is a weird thing. Why are they animals? So they have these weird things.
But the fact is that there's such thing as things that live even without this.
Yeah, because Arizal says that they used to. First of all, the Nachash spoke. I mean, the animals that are supposed to speak. The Arizal says that till the mabel they were. I forgot. Animals then were like humans today.
Yes.
What? And eventually they will be. Yeshaya says,
so they're alive now.
The lion's not going to eat the cow anymore, or whatever.
So they're going to be alive later?
Huh?
They're alive now so they can be alive later?
I think so. We'll upload, we'll teach them how to learn.
fine,
What?
but
Get into the world.
but the fact remains that there is such thing as a lifespan that isn't attached to ultimate.
I don't think
right
so.
now.
I don't think so. No, I'm maintaining that not. I'm maintaining that, and that all mini chayim is there to support higher chayim, and maybe because we eat them and we mallah them and things like that. There's things have been said about that. It means that if there's two words of chayim, the lower one is there in the surface of the higher. That's what I'm submitting. I hear.
Or part of the big picture.
Right, which is the
Meaning
same
what?
thing.
It changes back, Mashiach, okay, I don't know.
Right,
And
right,
that's-
right.
and that- So it has to exist for
It's
that
Right,
future, like,
right.
But
again,
the individual
you
who's
wanna
also attached to Mace, Misa, so just because this year he didn't choose right,
Right.
but maybe next year he will.
Right,
so that-
right. So, but really, if there would be a perfect correspondence between Korah and what is, then you would be dead. Now, Pshat is he's Korah Mason. The only difference, meaning what I'm saying is like this: the only difference between Korah Mason and Mace is that the what we call the real world is a little more messy than that. But actually, Korah Mason is supposed to be Mace. Now, rather, Korah Mason is in one aspect, but in that aspect, he's
But the
dead.
following year he can become alive.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. But now he's not dead.
the following moment.
But that's what the Gemara means. That's what the Gemara says. Korah Mason is not just Hashem. It's the Pshat is clapping where he is now. He's not dead. He's alive. It's he's alive. Afapi that he's dead. I think that's the point. That he's really supposed to actually be dead.
But then
And that's why some people say it's Kaveh the din of death also. I'm saying because whether you're a Chai or a Mace is actually the biggest factor. There's the biggest factor whether a person should live or should die is whether Hashem considers him alive or dead, right? Meaning whether he's really alive or dead. Maybe he'll be alive anyways or dead anyways. So that gets to the question of what does the Gemara mean? And it says Nechtam Amis. How can it say that? But I'm saying even this din of Chayim Haba is L'chayr Pasha. It's the Iker Kaveh because the only reason there is Chayim, what we call Chayim, is so that there should be real Chayim. And sometimes people matash this shit, and this is the problem. And why people matash this shit? Because in this weird thing we call life, there's this funny combination between death and life, or what in the lashon of Bereshit is Zachar and Nekeva. The Rambam saying Chomer and Tzur. It means that Isha brings death. Isha brings death. Isha brings death. That's the big problem. Again, it doesn't mean Isha brings death. It means being embodied. If we just be Seichel, if we just be Malachim don't die. Malachim Achayim. But the Maisa we're not. This weird combination of Seichel that is connected to the Chomer, Seichel connected to the Chomer, is at risk, or inevitably, depending if you believe that it's possible to live forever, we're not going to go into that now, is at risk for becoming defining things by the limitations of Chomer, and thereby losing its chiyas, losing its permanence. Losing, again, very partial things. So it doesn't mean it loses permanence. It means that if you would only think straight, if you'd only think true things, you'd be permanent. But the reason why we don't think true things is because we're embodied, and we look at our bodies and we take our bodies, oh look, it's real, I see where it starts, I see where it ends, and I define things by that. And like we said before, I'll define things that means it's important for me to be full. Yeah, it's geschmack. And why does geschmack mean anything? What do you mean? Because it means something to my body. It means you're defining things by your body. So then you become nes. Okay. And this all depends on the Isha. It all depends on the Chomer. Fine. So meaning the problem that we struggle with, the problem that Adam struggled with on the first day, is how to deal with the fact that he's created. That's it. Meaning how to deal with the fact that he's embodied. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Vayivakim as Adam Tzalmoi means Hashem created Seichel. Forget about Adam and Eve for a moment, okay? Hashem created Seichel. And this Seichel, Hashem said, is going to be embodied. Why is it going to be embodied? A big mystery. Hashem says a big mystery. Because of Chachmasai, that Seichel, and Seichel should be stuck into a body. Why should be stuck in a body? Let it just not be. But the Maisa, that's Hashem decreed. So now man, as in the Seichel of man, has to struggle with the fact that here he is a Davar Nitzchi, Davar Chai, but he's the Maisa in a world of limitations, of Chomer, which is limitations. And how is he supposed to retain his chiyus? How is he supposed to retain his chiyus? How is he not supposed to become a mace? So what do you do? What do you do with the fact of your body? Yeah? So here's two options. And one of them is catastrophic, and one of them doesn't work. The catastrophic one is I guess we should get it. Thank you. I'm going to give it over. Thank you very much.
Your wife.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so one mahalach dealing with this problem was catastrophic, and that was the mahalach of Bereshis Perek Beis and Gimel. That mahalach goes, Ki shamata l'kodeshtecha. Ki shamata l'kodeshtecha. That means the Isha has a conversation with the Nachman, and by the way, it's very important. Hashem told Adam not to eat from the Eitz. He didn't tell Chava not to eat from the Eitz. And the pasuk doesn't say that Adam woke up after Chava was created and told her, by the way, Hashem told me something I want to tell you. It doesn't say that. That Chava speaks to the Nachash is inevitable. In other words, that the Chomer, again, that the Chomer is going to be influenced, that the effect of your body is going to be influenced by the Dimion is inevitable. So the question is like this. The question is now, will there be a conversation? The only thing that is a tzivui on Adam is the Adam should eat from the Eitz, which means he shouldn't listen to Chava. What's the einish ki shamata l'kodeshtecha? Ki shamata l'kodeshtecha. Now, what does it mean? Let's think. What does it mean ki shamata l'kodeshtecha? It means like this: a person's a body. Everyone has Chava within him. Everyone's in a cave within him. Everyone's a body, and the body speaks to the seichel. What does it mean? The body speaks to the seichel. It means, again, let's go back a step. The body has a conversation with the nachash. Yeah, which means that the body thinks. Okay, you can't use crazy words. You can't use words for this. This is the problem. We're getting to Shofar. Shofar is no words. That's the whole point of it. But the body sort of has ideas. And I'm all using words. Again, I don't know how to say it. The body has ways of approaching things, let's say, right? The body has ways of approaching things. And the body converts that into words and starts having a conversation, so to speak, with the seichel. Okay? That means the seichel, your mind, your reason, is faced with the body, and the body has a mind of its own, so to speak. The body has its own mahalach, and the seichel starts listening to the body for a reason, which is the more crazy thing to do. Because the body has no reason. The body is just doing its own thing, which is non-reason. So the mistake is, ki shamata l'kodeshtecha means you have to preserve your reason and don't mistake the bodily ways of approaching the world, we'll call it. Don't mistake that for reason. You mistake that for reason, you're dead. You're confusing reason with body. Okay. So ki shamata l'kodeshtecha, that's catastrophic. So what else could you do? So maybe a person could treat his body as, like Rav Ibn Daud suggests in Amunah Ram. He says, treat your body like it's a horse. Like it's a horse. And he says, if a person would spend his whole life caring for his horse, it's ridiculous. What are you doing? More important things to do. So too, your body's your horse. You have to take care of it. It's something you own. It's an asset. And you have to feed it. You have to clothe it because, it's like a car. You take care of your car. You don't think your car is a Baldea. You don't think your car is a Mount Omer. You have to take care of it. That's a Rav Ibn Daud suggestion, which is all very nice, but not very practical. Nice. I mean, see if someone can do that. Meaning the fact is that the body demands more than being treated like a horse. That means that being embodied does speak to you. We have this problem of Shemata L'Kodesh. We have this problem that the Isha, the Chomer, presents itself to the mind as having deis that have to be full. I'm hungry, I want to eat, and that's important. And the idea that we should completely ignore that, although is a wonderful idea in theory, in practice, it's not really what happens. So how do we deal? The question that we're faced with is how do we deal with being embodied and recognizing that the body demands more than just being treated like a horse, and still the body's not going to be a Baldeo that's going to talk to us and will be over on Kishamata L'Kodesh. This is the struggle that we seek every Rosh HaShanah. How do we become a Chai and a Meis? Means how can we negotiate this relationship between our thought, our mind, our neshama, and the fact that we're a body. And this I submit to you is what the Shofar is.
You negotiate or you mean navigate?
Navigate, yeah. How do we navigate this? Yeah. So this I submit is what the Shofar is coming to do, and this is what the cries of the women represent. The cry of the woman means the following. The woman's cry that we find in the Cries, we find in the Torah. The woman's cry means that the chomer and its mahalach, right? The chomer, the body has a way of dealing with the world. That is mistaken. That presents itself to the Seichel as being thought, as that the body has, that it takes in life. Really, there's another possibility. Really, there's a possibility that we should view the body as something that's crying. What's a cry? A cry is not words. A cry is not words, but a cry is ma'orer rachamim. So when something's crying, let's say you see an animal that's crying, right? So even though it says treat it like a horse, your horse, you feed it hay, whatever, not because of rachamim, right? Okay, the problem is the body's more than a horse. But let's say you see an animal crying, an animal in distress, or even a person crying. So you merachim on them. You merachim on them because the fact they're pathetic, because they're bitzar, is ma'orer racham. Okay. So now, similarly, you could view your body. The mice is the whole world of the body, the whole material world Hashem created. Right? Up till now this year, we were going that the material world, be'etzem, is a problem. But the mice Hashem created a material world. Hashem created a world of matter. To say this, meaning there's two problems that I do with even though it's mahalach. First of all, it's not practical. Second of all, up to the whole material world is a horse. Your body's a horse. Hashem gave us this whole mystery. Why did Hashem put Seif in the bodies? The answer is that it's a horse. It's not true. For Raya it doesn't work. Elamai, there's something more going on over here. We're supposed to have an engagement. We're supposed to have some engagement with the material world. What is the nature of that engagement? The nature of the engagement is not to ignore it, because that's not practical and it's not the Metzias. So Elamai, being material has a lot to teach us, it seems. Now what is it going to teach us? What does being material have to teach us? Well, naturally, being material will teach us to be dead. The Hainu, to listen to the body. To listen to the words of the body, meaning let the body speak to us and give us ideas. That's death. That's death. So how do we listen to the matter? In other words, how do we recognize that there's truth in being materialized, some great truth, but the truth that's inherent in being materialized is not I'm hungry and therefore I should eat. It's something greater than that. It's something, but it's not a shita that's nitten to be put into words. The only way the matter could put itself into words is I want to eat from the tree. That's if the body starts putting its shitas into words and tells you I want to eat from the tree, even though Hashem said not to eat from it, that's hapech haseichel. So ignore the body, say it theoretically. Listen to the body speaking to you. Kishamata l'kodeshtecha. The answer is hear the body as something that's crying. In other words, the expression, what the bodily mahalach teaches you is that there's something that has needs. The needs cannot be articulated. The moment that they're articulated, they become kishamata l'kodeshtecha, because words are for things we can define and think about and use our seichel for. But what if there's a whole world that's not sichli? What if there's a whole world that's not sichli? We don't want to reject it. We want to say, no, Hashem put our seichel into this world. Apparently He wants us to be nispal from this world. But what does that hispilus look like? Does that hispilus look like kishamata l'kodeshtecha, that we're losing our seichel? So the way to navigate this connection is to hear the koil, to hear big koil, shema big koil. It says by Sarah. No, it's to hear that the words of the isha, the words of the chaymer, are a cry, are concealing. They're concealing something which cannot be articulated, but is still calling out to us. And therefore, what does that do to us? It's ma'orer rachamim. My seichel is mis'oret to be merachim on the guf. So I engage, and not just my guf, I engage with the material world because the material world cries out to me in its patheticness. From the fact that it's narrow, that's in the straits, that it can't speak reason, the very fact that the material world cannot speak reason means the material world is lacking, is seeking, is crying to the Baal Seichel. So to put it in a mashal, which is a very true mashal, but you have to go. No. To put it in a mashal, he'll like this. When Chava came to Adam and said, the Nachash came to me and I ate from the tree and I think you should eat also, it's a very good idea. Ba'atzam Adam was supposed to say, I feel so bad, I see you're in pain. That's the Torah. Because, and the whole trope, the Nashim don't want they don't want to tell you what they're saying. They want you to hear the cries. That's the nimshal. That's the mashal over here. The mistake of Adam was that he took the dibur of the Isha for dibur of Adam. He took the message of the Chaymer for being the same nature as the message of Seichel, which is, this is what we should do. So yes, Adam knows we shouldn't eat from the tree, but the body knows we should eat from the tree. Okay, so say that here. So I'm asking, the body says eat from the tree. I hear. But his mistake was the body doesn't say anything. But what then? The body's not there. No, the body is there. The body cries. So the kol shofar, the bechia of the isha, is this. The bechia of the isha is that the chomer, the way to navigate the relationship between tzura and chomer, is to understand that the chomer is not a bar dibur, not a bar dibur, like snakes are not supposed to speak. So what are you doing speaking to a snake? What is the chomer doing speaking? It's not supposed to speak. There's no such thing as speech. The speech of chomer is bechia. The speech of chomer is bechia. The speech of chomer is bechia means, nochamal, it means that to be able to tap into the great truth that lies in matter. We're not denying that there's some great science and truth in the fact that it's a material world. But we cannot articulate them. The second we begin articulating them, meaning we can't articulate them. The second we begin articulating the truths of the truths of matter are, ends here, and this is what's alive, and meaning death is life, because things that are limited are alive. My need to be full, that's important. Those are the only way that a chomer can be articulated. And once you articulate it, you translate it into something that's not true. So you have to hear it. It has to call out to you. And you have to notice it, and you have to be moved by it, and you have to move to rachamim by it, without it telling you a day. And that's the sound which is in between speech and silence. That's the shofar. So the word is like this. Mamela, Ezra's opportunity to teach everyone about the evils of intermarriage is not because punkt, that was the sin 2,500 years ago, and that's what he read from the parashas that we read every year. The kolash shetoyim alecha sar shema bekoila is the tikkun for the chet of the Eitzadas. Meaning the whole question of how we're going to deal with being chomer is the same question of should we intermarry or not. Because those who said we can, the theory that says Hashem chose Avram and doesn't matter who he's married to, is saying that the body is the chomer. The body is a horse. Sorry, the body is a horse, like the beloved. The body is a horse, that means the master is the seichel, and the man who stands for seichel is the keveya, and the woman with her unique connection to the material world is irrelevant. We just ignore that. The only thing that matters is seichel. If the only thing that matters is seichel, okay, so go try that. Go try that. You know, it's going to work till it doesn't work, and you're going to end up being back to the chet of Kishamata L'Kodesh. There has to be a mahalach of Vayikach Avram es Sarai Ishtoi. There has to be a mahalach that the woman is respected, also has a mokum. Also has a mokum. That means the chomer, or the woman that stands for the chomer, also is part of the Avodas Hashem, is also taken, what does that mean part of Avodas Hashem? It means taken seriously. It means something that we respect, something that's real. If it's real, that means we're going to turn it into the language of Seichel and it's going to be a lie. So the answer is it's real as a bechia. Because what bechia means, you have a sense, there's something that you can't access. And that is the truth. That is the exact truth of being material. That there is something which you cannot define. And you have to notice that there's something you can't define, and there's something that calls out from its patheticness for rachamim, and then you can navigate the relationship between seichel and guf, and then you can be a chay and not a mace.
How do we gain from knowing that?
What?
How do we gain from being merachim?
How do we gain from being merachim? We'll find out. In other words, the chomer does have what to teach us. That's what I'm saying. The chomer has what to teach us. You want me to tell you what it has to teach you? You're basically telling me to do the chet of the Eitzadas. That's the whole point.
How can I learn something if I can't articulate?
Because you will. Because what you're going to learn is also not everything we know can we articulate. That's right. We know that's a truism. That there's things we know, things that define us that we can't necessarily articulate. We don't even know that we know, subconscious, whatever. None of us, we try, sometimes, and I'm saying being material has a lot to teach. That's true and important on that level. Call it on the subconscious level. Mm-hmm. But we risk subverting that by our natural urge to to articulate everything. And we articulate dvarim chomriyim.
Which is to say that we try to understand it and we can't really.
Exactly. So we try to understand it. Elamai ignore it? No. See it as being the pathetic creature that it is, that calls out for rachamim. And that kind of engagement with it will allow you to be Shema B'Koil. Kol Hashem Alecha Shema B'Koil. This is a very I don't know if it's true, but that Adam was Nenesh Ki Shama L'Koil Eshtecha, and so Avram was told to be listened B'Koil. Means there's something. The words are not where it's at, but there's something in the koil that you have to hear.
The koil itself, not the words.
Right, it's something inside of it, and that inside of it is the shofar. The inside of the koil is the shofar, and the shofar is the bechias of these mothers. So that 99 lemisa and 1 l'chaim. That means when we reach this madriga of understanding this bechia properly, that's when we shift from mothers to chaim.
And she's a mother because that's how she represents the chaimer rather than representing
The mother, the childbirth.
Yes.
Yeah.
The child.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
Because a woman represents the chaimer.
Also has chaimer and surah.
Right. But the woman is uniquely associated with chaimer because she's a mother, right? Because she bears the matter of the child. She's uniquely associated with the child in a material, tangible way, while the man is more in a theoretical way.
And in a practical sense, in this particular parasha, Sarah tells him, "Garesh lama zayshvat b'na,"
Right.
because I can only be here because I'm like you, except in a different balance.
Right.
Whereas she's not in that balance because she's just a chaimer.
Hagar is just a chaimer. Right. So in other words, for Hagar you have to like even the whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe Garesh is
But you can't.
worse. You can't. So Garesh, yeah.
That's because it won't work. It won't work.
Right, because it won't work. Exactly.
Can't be.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's the word. Shalom, welcome.